Hi, I'm Rhiannon Faith, and I'm here to tell you a story. So, just kind of a silly, fun something. I was talking with one of my colleagues, shout out to Jenny Torres, about something that came up when I first hired her a number of years ago in a different work environment. So, she worked in, I hired her on for one of the clinics that I was running at the time. And when I hired her, it was in the height of COVID. And so she interviewed wearing a mask. We wore masks in the office. This is nothing to do with whether or not like mask validity or soundness or whatever. It's a policy within our institution and we follow it. And so she interviewed in a mask. She sat at a front desk position when I first hired her. So she always had a mask on, including Zoom calls. And so I had never seen the lower portion of her face, but I didn't even really register that until one day I'm walking through the office. I walk past the break room and I pause, realizing I've just seen the lower portion of her face, double back and sort of stare at her awkwardly, like for too long. And she acknowledges and says, "Is everything okay?" Yeah. And I start laughing. He said, I never saw the bottom portion of your face. I'd been sort of making up what the bottom portion of your face was this entire time. And it's not necessarily, different per se, but it just, I guess, is it exactly the vision I had in my head? And so she started laughing. She goes, "Yeah, I don't know what anybody looks like. I wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup if they didn't have their masks on," because she had never seen anybody except for in the break room without their masks on. It's just such a weird time that we navigated. And so we were chatting about all the just sort of oddities that came with that time. Like probably the biggest one that I acknowledge over and over again was how many people did not recognize folks once they had a mask on. Like if they had a mask, they suddenly just, and I know everybody has like different visual cues and recollections of folks. I tend to take in like the whole picture of a person. So I could tell somebody by their eyes or their hair or their body language or the cadence of their walk or whatever, how many hand gestures they make. And she was saying, yeah, it was kind of strange. There were a lot of people that would say, "Oh, I didn't recognize you had a mask on." It was such a weird time. I can't wait for like many years from now to be able to tell like my grandkids, probably because my kids were around enough to remember what it was like to just not recognize people and all of the strange things that suddenly came up. Like you suddenly became very aware of how many times you were accustomed to touching your face and didn't anymore. And that was a revelation, a disgusting one, albeit, but a revelation. Also, how many people don't know how to properly wash their hands? So that was disturbing. But it was a fun time, and we had a good laugh about how ridiculous that season was in the mask blindness that we all encountered. So come back again. I'll tell you another story. Thanks.